So I am officially 11 weeks. So this is my 10-week blog. So it's definitely been a crazy week. I had some ups and downs, quite literally. So first, at the beginning of the week, it was pretty normal. The symptoms were kind of starting to go away, which was really nice, but they've kind of been up and down this week. So certain days I'm more tired than others, and certain days I'm more hungry than others, but I'm feeling like I'm starting to kind of get used to it and manage it really well, so that's good. But anyway, so the big news for this week, I fainted and had a seizure. So that was absolutely terrible and scary and unexpected. So this happened like on Sunday, a couple days ago, and I was in the market just walking, going to get some food. We had our two friends here, and I felt like I was in a faint, which was bizarre because I had eaten before we left the house, and I was eating like while standing like around the market. I was eating strawberries. And I drank a lot of water, and it wasn't that hot. So really, like, the reasons for having like to faint were like not even there. So it was really bizarre that it even happened. And so I felt like I was going to. So I like told Lee, and like I feel like really sick. I think I might pass out. And then at that point, I remember like sitting down, and then I don't remember anything after that. Like I like actually like blacked out. And so of course my husband's like so scared. Like that's never happened. I fainted before, but like not while pregnant. And then the seizure thing was like totally unexpected. So that was scary, I think, for everybody. I don't remember a thing, so I don't even know like what happened. But my husband says that I fainted and then like started convulsing, and I was just like, that's really scary. And then I remember like waking up, and there's all these like French people around me. There's a woman holding my legs up in the air, and someone has like a wet cloth on my face, and I'm just like scared, like, oh my god. And so I'm freaking out about the baby, of course, because I know that when you like faint, not enough oxygen goes to your brain, which is like, anyway, so I was really scared that the baby wasn't getting oxygen. So we went to the hospital afterwards. And so everything's fine. I'll like start off by saying that I'm fine, but there's a few things I have to do to keep making sure that I'm fine. So the hospital compared to like in BC and like in Canada and the hospital here, it was so different. And I've got to say, the French system is the best ever. I did not have to wait at all. The second that ambulance was called, they were here in seconds, and they took me straight into the emergency. Everyone was around me in seconds. Everyone was taking tests, and like I was considered like, and it was an emergency that this happened. And I have fainted back home before. I had to wait like maybe 4 hours before a doctor would see me. At that point, obviously I had eaten some food to feel better. They took my blood pressure, and of course it was normal because a little bit below normal, but it was still like I'd eaten. So of course they go and send me home. But I think as I was pregnant, they made it a little bit more of a priority than like some girl just fainted. And plus I had like a bit of a minor seizure, and that's never happened to me. So that was really kind of scary. So anyway, so in the end, they needed to do some tests that would be the following day because this happened on Sunday, right? And so not all of the people were working in a certain field. So if it was like really emergency, they would have been able to do it right away. But they felt like I could wait till the next day, so I had to sleep over. And that really was like, it wasn't that bad. I mean, I just didn't want to. Obviously, I'd rather be at home. But everyone was really nice, and it was like, okay. I mean, for the most part, it was fine. And they let Lee stay like pretty late in the evening too, so I can have some company. But so it wasn't very fun having to wait in the hospital. But I was like, as much as I didn't want to be there, I was so happy that they were making sure they were testing everything. Because they wanted to do some, I forget what it's called, but it's like they like do like pulses on your head. It's like this thing anyway to make sure that your synapses are connecting properly. Because if they're not correctly, then I could like have epilepsy. And I've never had a seizure before, and so that was kind of scary. Like I kind of felt like this was a one-time thing, and the doctor was explaining to me too that like, you know, we just want to make sure before we send you home. So of course, yeah, so I'm like, okay, that's fine, I get it. I obviously don't want to be here overnight, but that makes sense. So they ended up doing all the tests, and I don't have epilepsy, so that's good. So they were trying to figure out why it happened in the first place, because all of the kind of things that would normally happen to make me faint, like, were not the case. So anyway, so by the end of it, the doctors concluded that it was likely based on what I had been eating, because I have had low blood pressure my entire life, and it's always been like about like 90, 95. So you're supposed to be between like 100 and 120. Then of course, like when you're pregnant, your body's like, the baby's taking like almost 60% of your blood supply. So that's quite a bit. So my blood is having to like circulate like over time, already on low blood pressure. So their doctors are I can't even say the word, stipulating that what I'd been eating this past week wasn't like giving me enough iron or enough like salts and stuff. So I have to like apparently eat more salts so that it'll like clog my arteries, so I'll get like higher blood pressure. But yeah, so throughout the pregnancy, I have had like kind of not cravings, but like I haven't been wanting to eat certain things. So it's like an uncraving, because normally I like will have like pretty balanced meals, but I haven't been feeling like eating meat like at all. Like I just want to eat vegetables this past week. And a few days before I had passed out, I maybe had like half of a turkey breast, and then maybe like, I think I had some ham and an omelet, but that was it, the only meat I'd had. So, I mean, I'd had some lentils. I was making sure I was getting like proteins from elsewhere, but apparently it wasn't quite enough iron that I needed. Or salts, because I never really put salt on things. I never really think about doing that. So, I mean, food just tastes like so good on its own, it doesn't necessarily need it. So, they went through kind of like a food diary about like what I'd been eating, and they're like, that's like, you guys, you know, you have to be better about eating like salts and stuff. I'm like, I just had no idea. And they're like, no doctor in Canada ever told you that? And I was like, no. And they're like, and you've had low blood pressure all your life. I'm like, yeah. So they were pretty appalled that like nobody back home, doctors, nurses, nothing, had ever told me that I should be like eating saltier foods. And I mean, iron, I knew that, but anyway, so I don't think it was really drilled into me that much back home that like it was like really important, because I have iron pills and I take them kind of sporadically. So anyway, they weren't very impressed that like the system back home wasn't like, you know, really on me about it. So anyway, it was good here that they like cared a lot about me and the baby, and had an ultrasound to make sure the baby was okay, because I was like worried about it. So I just really wanted to have one and make sure. But this time, so like I'm like 11 weeks now. Like yesterday I was 11 weeks. So it was really cool because the baby's moving now. And so when they were doing the ultrasound, I was like, I was tearing up a bit, because it was just like so neat to see. And the baby like has his hands up and he's just like doing stuff, and then he'd like reach and grab. It was like the cutest thing, his legs kicking every once in a while. So I'm calling it he. I just like think it's a boy. I'm sure it is. It'd be funny if it's not, because I'm like so sure it's a boy, but we'll see. But it was really neat, and there was an intern that was in the room with me, and she asked, like, oh, is it okay if I, like, you know, be here through the procedure? And I was like, oh, yeah, I don't mind, and so I'm pretty sure she was, like, more excited than I was. She was like, oh, this is the first time I've seen an echography, and she's, like, so excited about it, and she's, like, every time the baby would move, she'd be like, oh, and just, like, she was almost in tears. So it was kind of neat to see, like, this woman you know, we don't know each other, and she was, like, so excited to see my baby, so it was really neat. So yeah, so in the end, I had to spend 2 nights in the hospital, because one of the tests had to be the morning after, and oh gosh, like, I'm such a stubborn person, and like, I was just really tired and scared and not really wanting to be there by myself, and uncomfortable, and like, I mean, not uncomfortable like physically, but just like mentally, I was just like, oh, I just like don't want to be here. So it was, I was so stubborn, and I probably had like a couple tantrums. Like if someone says something I don't agree with, I'm just like, no, I'm not doing that. And so I'm sure the nurses got pretty annoyed with me after a while, but I did apologize after. I was like, oh, je suis très désolée for my tantrum, and she kind of laughed. The nurses were like, oh, I know what this word means, tantrum. I'm like, yeah, I had like 3, sorry. But anyway, and they're all really sweet, and they, you know, didn't seem to be such a big deal. They're like, no, we understand what you're going through. But So all the tests are fine except for like the blood pressure thing. So the blood pressure test, I had to like lay on this board and they would like tilt it like to different levels, and then kind of more fast and more like slowly to see like kind of how my blood pressure changes. So when they like do it quickly, if they just stand me up, I went down to 56/90, which is like crazy low. It's supposed to be like 100, so like in half. So they were pretty like, whoa. And they're like, you've never had this test before. And I was pretty shocked too. I was like, nope, I haven't. So every time, like, I probably saw maybe like 8 or 10 different people throughout the entire, like, the couple days. And all of them were just like so surprised that I'd never had this back home, this test. So anyways, my blood pressure is ranging between 85 to 95. So that's like really low. And I don't know what it was before I was pregnant, like the averages. Like I remember when we went to the doctor here before I became pregnant, I was ranging at like a 90. And so anyway, with this test, they were doing it maybe, they did like, you know, the level test, and then they had to do it at the hospital. They did it like for the full, like every day, all day. So like every hour or two, they would come in and do it. And like before I ate and after I ate and at different times and like what I was doing and standing, sitting. So yeah, after I ate, it would like go up to 95, but that's still like below average. So anyway, so they're not going to put me on like blood pressure pills or anything because they're not too sure about it with pregnancy because they haven't really been like studied or like around long enough to know the effects on like a pregnant woman taking them. So I can't take them. But they gave me pressure stockings. And so that was one of my tantrums. They come in with these like ugly white like stocking things. And I'm like, I'm not wearing those every day of my pregnancy. Like in the summer, forget it. I'm just like, love my, you know, cute summer dresses. And I'm like, there's no way I'm wearing those. Like, no. And they're just like, no, you have to. I'm like, no, I'm not going to. So that was my one tantrum about the stockings. But anyway, one of the head nurses came in. She's like, look, I know these are like so unfashionable. I get it. But like they're really important for you to wear them. Like, okay, well, how do they work? Like it doesn't seem to make sense to me. Like why stockings would make a difference. But these stockings are like tight, and it's funny, they actually make my legs look like really tiny and skinny. So I'm like, okay, well, that's one plus to them. But anyway, so I'm not I still don't quite understand. Like the whole time it was like French English, and so for the most part I understood like simple terms, you know. But I guess how the stockings work is that there are like certain pressure points at the ankles and at the knee and like on the thighs and stuff. So there's like certain tightnesses tighter in other spots, and it's supposed to make the blood not like pool in your legs. So anyway, because that's what happens when you have like low blood pressure. I've never like ever noticed or like thought my legs were like had pooled blood in them. But anyway, weird. I mean, it does go, but it doesn't stay there. Like it goes back up, but like every time you stand up, it just kind of like rushes down, which is like why I feel kind of nauseous every time I sit up. So anyway, but before we left yesterday morning, the nurse came in. One of the nurses that kind of was there the whole time, all the 2 days, and she's like, "Okay, I know you hate these white stockings, so I write you a prescription so you can get free, like nicer designer ones." And I was like, "Oh, really? That's so nice." So I was like, "Oh, I even had my little tantrum." She was still nice with me, but no, I wasn't like, I don't know. I'm saying I had a tantrum, but I was just being stubborn. So anyway, all the nurses said I was nice, but so she gave me this prescription to go get like designer ones, and so we went to the pharmacy yesterday, and we got I got like a pair that's just like I'm wearing them right now. I'm not gonna like pull my legs up, but they're like skin color. I can't even speak. They're just like basically the same color as my skin. Like they really like do blend in totally completely, and they're like really sheer. So they're the sheerest, closest color to my skin that I found, and they're not that bad, and then they're not as hot either because they're thinner, because the ones I got at the hospital were like white thick. They're in the wash right now, so that's why I'm not gonna like take them out and show you. But anyway, it's like it's thick as a napkin, like a cloth. It was just like terrible to wear. They were so hot. So anyway, I have nicer ones now. I'm wearing a skirt today, but like they're like knee-high ones. So anyway, but you can't really tell that I'm wearing them if I have like flats on and like a skirt covers it. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's hard to get used to wearing something like that. And then I'm not looking forward to like the middle of August when I like still have to wear them. It's gonna be so hot. But anyway, I'm sure really in the end it'll be okay. Trying to remember if there's anything else I needed to say. It's a really long story. I'm sure I could like go on about it, but really, in the end, all the tests came back except for the blood pressure thing, negative. So I didn't have anything wrong with my brain. I don't have epilepsy. It's unlikely to happen again, but they're thinking that it's likely that I could faint again. So I have to be more careful about that. Eat saltier foods, more iron, more proteins, iron-based, like iron in the meats. More red meat, which is like I don't normally eat that kind of thing. I don't. So anyway, it's going to be hard to like change that. But don't really want to eat bacon my entire pregnancy. So so that's that. I feel like fine. So like while I was at the hospital, I felt fine. Like it wasn't like I was, gonna faint the entire time. So yeah, I feel fine right now. But it does actually make a lot of things more clear about the beginning of my pregnancy because like I was feeling nauseous and dizzy like all the time. And I thought that just had to do with being nauseous, but I'm like, you know what? I'm sure that I just had like severely low blood pressure at so many points in the day that I was just feeling like I was about to pass out like all the time. So it's making a lot of things more clear about how I was feeling. So anyway, one thing that does kind of suck is I can't be in one position for various hours. So the doctor said they really don't know like what the kind of limit is, but they say about 6 hours. And I know that when I am at work, because I do sit like straight for about maybe like 9 hours, including the bus rides. So it's like half an hour bus ride each way, and then it's like 8-hour shift. So about 9 hours, and I know I felt like I start feeling sick around like 3:30. So I thought I was getting like, afternoon sickness, but the doctors are pretty sure that it's just like my blood pressure is just dropping because I had been like in the sitting position for so long, for like 8 hours. So anyway, they're suggesting that I should take a shorter shift. So kind of sucks money-wise, but it's better for my health, so I just have to do that for the entire pregnancy. But if I can just work like shorter shifts, maybe add an extra day and then have shorter shift, maybe that'll work. But yeah. So I didn't really ever assume that like anything would go like so wrong with my pregnancy. So the one thing that I am worried about now though is flying, because we have so many trips planned and I didn't think it was going to be a big deal. So I really hope that I will get permission to go fly. First of all, it's my sister's wedding, so I can't miss my sister's wedding, and that'd be absolutely terrible. And then I wanted to see my friend on the way back, so I mean, like, it'd be really sad if I couldn't get permission to go. But the doctors have given me the tools to, like, help myself if, I feel like I might faint. Because, again, like, nobody back home ever told me anything about it. Like, again, 3 times I fainted, and no doctor ever once had said, like, anything that these doctors told me this week. So, anyway, definitely have a big thumbs up for French healthcare. Like, nothing like that ever happened in Canada. So, unimpressed with Canada right now. But, yeah, so the nurses and the doctors are like, you cannot be embarrassed about where you are. Like, if you feel like you're going to pass out, you need to lie down on the ground, like, right away and put your legs up in the air. And I was like, oh, okay, like, at the grocery store? And they're like, yep. I'm like, okay. But at this point, I'm just, like, more concerned about the baby, and I'm not going to be embarrassed. Well, I will be, but I'll do it anyway. Because that's more important than me being a little bit of embarrassed. So, anyway. And then they told Lee, obviously, too, and, like, if we're together and it happens again. Because at the market, when it happened, I, like, sat down thinking that would help, but it doesn't. Because apparently, like, the natural body, when you're, like, feeling sick, you kind of, like, lean forward. And a lot of the time, you'll put your hands, like, on your head or, like, in your face. You'll kind of, like, lean on your elbows. But that's worse because you're leaning forward, so the blood isn't getting to your head at all, and so it makes it even worse. So that is the point when I passed out, was like me sitting. So yeah, they said next time to, like, my husband, like, make sure that I lie on the ground, like, straight away. When I woke up, I was on the ground, and I had a French woman had my legs up, so she must have known what to do. And so anyway, everyone was really helpful. So I don't really remember everything. My husband said that everyone was really nice, and someone had my head in their lap, and my feet were up, and someone's getting me water, and so anyway, it was good. but not good at the same time. So anyway, I'm getting on to a long vlog again, sorry. But yeah, I wanted to tell you guys about what happened, and yeah. So anyway, that's that. But for this week, I'm going to just take it easy. I actually have this week off, which is kind of a blessing, so I can kind of recoup and rest and whatnot. But I mean, I was in the hospital for like 2 days, and I wasn't really allowed to do much, so so I'm going to look forward to going for a walk today. I'm going to do some chores around the house and be active today, hopefully. But that was the other thing with the exercise, because I'm like, so you guys want me to eat fatty, salty food, and I'm not allowed to do certain exercises anymore. So yoga things, certain yoga poses, I am not allowed to do. So there's nothing I can do where my head is upside down, and I can't do cardio where I'm jumping up and down, like nothing. And so I'm like, whoa, that like excludes quite a few different exercises. So I'm gonna get really fat. So anyway, that was my other tantrum. I was like, what? I can't just like eat these foods and not work out and not do this, and so I don't want to like lie in bed my entire pregnancy. So anyway, but they did have another nurse came in who was, I don't think she's like a nutritionist, but she was telling me all about the different foods and things to do. So I have been told this actually various times by various people, that I should go swimming, because you're not putting your body in a position where your blood pressure is like going up and down. So you're swimming, you're like this, and then you're using your muscles, but you're not getting to a point where you're like sweating a lot. You're still cool in the water. So they recommended swimming. So I would like to try that. Again, it's not something that I normally have like done before, so it'd be interesting to get back into it. I'm not like I'm not really that strong of a swimmer. I'm good at like the froggy, but I don't really like, do the swim thing. So we'll have to see if I can get into that. But I'd like to try that, because walking, of course, is fine, but it's not like going to get your heart racing too fast. And I do find that after I have walked up the stairs, like, it's only 2 floors, and I do feel like a bit dizzy after. So I just have to like take it extremely easy, but it's frustrating, because I mean, I want to be healthy, and but anyway. So that's that. If you guys have any suggestions, like if anyone's gone kind of through something like this before, and any suggestions about what you guys went through, or how maybe I can kind of eat the foods I need to eat and do the exercises I need to do, but maybe in a way that I can understand. So that would be great. So yeah, pray that this week goes well for me. I don't want anything like this to happen again, so I'm going to be really diligent on the medication I need to take, and I don't want to wear the stockings, but I'm going to. My husband's been totally on me about it, so he wouldn't leave the house until I put them on, so anyway. Yeah, so wish me luck throughout this week, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!